What's up? What's up? Hey everyone. Thanks for checking out YLS episode 3. Sorry for the gaps in between. I know it's been like 3 weeks since my last episode, but I have a very special guest today and more to come. Between work, band gigs, logo design, and trying to start my own business, I swear I'm giving this my all, so bear with me. Quick announcement, my episodes will temporarily be up one at a time via SoundCloud and Apple Podcast. I'm working on that. As far as YouTube, you should be able to find every episode on my channel. Thanks to everyone who's taken an interest in my episodes. I really hope you enjoy them and learn something new from each one. This is YLS episode 3.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Your life sucks. Welcome to Your Life Sucks, episode 3. I have like a super special guest today. I've known this guy for years, since I was a kid, and he's always been so talented, so just outstandingly way better than I will ever be. His name is Brandon Michael, also known as Boo Boo Money. We'll talk about that later.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
And his current band, I think he's in a couple bands right now, but his main band, I think, and I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Allegaeon?
Bullshit!
Yeah, damn it.
No, it's actually a lot easier than you. It's Allegion.
Damn it, you know what, I kept saying Allegion, and then,
I think I made it more confusing
because
I think I pronounced it super weird.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny because I'm in a band. You guys know Joe, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, he still pronounces it Allegion, and I've corrected him like 5 or 6 times. Like, it's Allegion, and he's just like, oh yeah, cool. And then he's like, hey, when are you going on tour with Allegion again? Like, Joseph.
And then, of course, David Park is over here. Another episode. I'm glad to have him.
Yeah.
He's
Co-hosting duties.
I can't do it by myself.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and anything to make me sound cooler than I am.
And so Allegion's on Metal Blade Records, and they're insane. I literally just your progressive metal.
I don't know. I think like the vernacular that we're going for is like melodic death metal, but
Okay.
it's like, I don't know. I think it's just like shreddy metal.
Yeah,
for,
it's
like,
super and
fans of
that's
it.
like exactly how he plays. He just shreds on bass, on guitar. And I'm pretty
Try
sure,
to shred.
No, he's insane. I'm like.
Yeah, don't be humble.
But I met Brandon when I was in middle school through my cousin Fernando.
Oh yeah, this is your cousin, huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
And he's like, oh, my friend Brandon Michael, and I met him in my cousin's room, and he was just playing guitar and hanging out, and this is a long time ago. Like, this guy's huge, but like he's always huge. Like when I was little, like he was huge, big guy, big kid.
What year was this when you...
Oh man,
It had to be like
it had to be middle school, man.
like 2001 or something like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a
I was
long
probably like
time,
11.
man. Both of you guys, actually, I've known you for a long time too.
Yeah.
And off and on, I'll see him here and there all the time, and he's always projects, musical projects, or I'll see him at work.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm in there, whenever he's working. We went to the same school. I think we went to the same high school too.
Yeah, Tracy, right?
Tracy High.
Yeah.
And he's been in many bands, and I think the first band was Regrets of a Tiffany Gun.
Kind of.
Well, the first band that I remember.
Maybe so, yeah.
Regrets of a Tiffany Gun.
I was actually playing when I was like 3 years old.
Oh, shit.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. Well, let's hear a little bit of a history background of how all this started and how you got into music. And I think, from my understanding, is that your father, your dad, is a great musician as well, and I think he taught you.
Yeah. So my dad's sick. He's awesome. He's a drummer, and like I just always had it. Drums in the house and instruments and whatnot, and I remember I want to say it was when I was like 7 or 8. he like bought some drum sets because he'd like sold all the stuff because he obviously they had a kid, they had me. So like
happens.
he's like, oh, because he was doing he grew up in LA during like the 80s, and like he was like that whole like hair metal circuit. So like he had that whole deal. There's still stories that I'm sure he hasn't told me because he's just like, I don't want to talk about it. But when I was in the picture, he kind of just went straight into work mode, and then the band thing. He's always been in music, but he kind of pushed it aside.
Yeah.
And like I said, around like when I was like 6 or 7, he bought another drum set, and I just like immediately was just like, I want it. And then I think after doing like a couple, like helping him move it around, to gigs and whatnot, I was like, dude, this is way too much work for me. I'm way too lazy to move a drum set around.
At 6 years old?
No, this is like, I'm thinking, I'm kind of like, I guess streamlining it. But,
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing though, he kind of taught me the basics, and then when he kind of wanted to get back into music, it was more of like they bought me a guitar. I remember pretty early on, and I didn't really take to it.
You wanted the drums.
Well, I love playing the drums. It was a lot of fun for me, but then again, like he was always practicing, so then it was kind of like, okay, well, you're doing your thing.
Okay.
Like I didn't really take it seriously, I guess. It was just kind of like a thing to do for fun, and when I lost interest, I'd go like ride my bike or whatever. And then I remember I saw like I think it was like they had this like old VHS of like British heavy metal. So like we'd watch like Iron Maiden and like Judas Priest and shit. I can cuss, right?
Yeah, you
Okay,
can say
cool.
whatever you want.
Bleep me out. No, but I remember seeing that, and then I was like, oh, I want a guitar, and so like he was like, are you sure? Like, is that really what you want to do? And I'm like, yeah, I want a guitar like super bad. And then he bought me a guitar for one Christmas one year, and I never played it. So then like,
when did you actually like pick up on strings though?
So it was when I turned 12. I was actually already in Tracy because I was living in Southern California at the time, and then we moved over here.
Okay.
When I was like in 4th grade, I want to say like 98.
You moved over there, Tracy Boulevard?
No, I was living in Fairhaven at the
Okay.
time, and then I moved from Fairhaven to which nobody, unless you're from Tracy's.
I was like, let's get your exact address.
Yeah, so it was 599. Anyways, long story short, my 12th birthday hit, and I had like, it was really weird because like I had picked up on music pretty early, but like I think bass specifically, I don't know what it was, but I heard like all these albums come out, like Offspring. I was like really big into like what was it, Crush, Smash, I think it was. Yes, the one that album.
Oh, with the skull.
The skull, yeah.
The blue
So
background.
I was really into that.
I got that one for Christmas.
I was really into that. I was like really into Korn for a while, and like a lot of the stuff I just heard bass, and I was like, oh man, like
nice.
like I want to do this. So I told my dad, I was like, hey, get me a bass. And he's like, no.
He's like no,
after the guitar.
He's like,
guitar.
you've tried drums, you've tried guitar. I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah. So he came home from work one day, and it was my 12th birthday. The day of my birthday, came home from work, and he bought me a little 4-string Ibanez. And like,
nice.
Dude, I locked myself in the room for like months. Just nonstop. Like, lost all my friends, stopped calling people.
Did you pick up guitar though? Still, like, did you learn chords before that?
No.
So you were not because I picked up guitar first, and then I went to bass because it was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But so I know you play guitar now.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like going from bass and having that like your main, and then going to guitar because you're a good guitarist as well.
Dude, thanks.
How was that
I get by. I get by on guitar. No, that came out of necessity. So like I was playing bass, and then my whole like MO was like, oh, I want to be a bass player in like a band. Like that's what I want to do. I want to be like fucking Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. And then like that was cool because my dad always told me, he's like, hey, if you ever like want to be popular or like want to have friends in high school, just be in a band, like play music. And if you want to be in a band, play bass or play drums, because like you can never find good drummers or bass players.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
Everybody always wants to like scream or do vocals, or wants to play guitar, but bass and drums is like,
those are the facts.
That is very true.
He's like, it'll just be a lot easier for that way. Which he was right, so I guess I thank him for that. But anyways, no, I was on bass for the longest time, and I was like, starting all these bands, but I was writing all the songs. And so like I would just put these songs together and like show my guitar players on like the pretense that they would like, do a better job.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then what ended up happening was like, it wasn't sounding right. And I swear, like, it wasn't like a matter of like, oh, like I'm just such a shreddy guitar player. It was just like, I heard things and I was like, hey, can you downpick all those notes? And like, no, like, fuck you. Why? And then I was like, no, just do it like this. And it just, after doing that so many times, I think I think it might have been Joe Flores. He was like, dude, like, why don't you just play guitar? Like, you're writing all these songs. You know, I know it's hard to find a bass player, but like the bass lines you're playing are pretty easy. Just do it, you know. And so I just kind of like picked up guitar at a necessity and like started writing songs, and then just kind of went from there. And I guess it just got, you know, like I said, halfway decent at it to a point where I can get by.
So from there on, you progressed, you got better. And then when did you? Because you're talking about you wrote your own songs.
Mm-hmm.
When was your first group? You got everybody. You got everybody, or did you just write and record yourself?
So yeah. So what happened? My first like actual playing band, like outside of like stuff with my dad, because I always sat in with my dad because they needed a bass player. So he's like right off the bat, good advice. But no, my first band was a band called My Beautiful Ending.
Oh,
that was my first like actual.
That's right.
Yeah, that was.
I remember you had shirts made.
Yeah,
I remember that, and I'm trying to remember. It was just like a cursive handwriting.
So yeah, so it's really funny how that happened. So my dad has this. I'm getting ready to go into high school. I was in music all throughout Jefferson Middle School. Okay. So I was like, I was like this lead snare drummer. I got back into drums, did that whole thing. And I was killing it. I was so excited. I was like, oh, I want to be in a band. I'm going to do all this, cool shit. And I talked to my band leader, Mr. Troy. He was like one of my mentors. And I went to him.
R.I.P., man.
Yeah, man, dude. He was such an asshole, but he just
I
taught me so much.
I wasn't even in any of his classes. I just remembered him.
Yeah, he was
stern.
Yeah, no, he was an asshole.
Okay.
There's no stern about it. I literally showed up late to lessons, and he would just be reading his paper. I'd try to sneak in. He's like, nope. And I'm like, shit. And then there's been a couple times too when I was getting the hang of shit, where he would just be like, dude, you're off time. Go, get out of here.
Damn.
And he would just send me out.
That's a
and it was
legit music teacher.
And yeah, exactly. And the funny thing was being the drums, you're in the back of the band.
Yeah.
So when he stops, everybody turns around. And everyone's just like this, and they have to all stop their shit because of you. And you just yeah, he broke my balls for sure.
Yo, that's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
So anyways, though, after a while, I got pretty good, and then he was just I was getting ready to graduate middle school and go into high school, and I was like, hey man, do you have any advice, going into this? I want to do band, I had all these aspirations and shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you want me to be honest with you? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, quit music and just play football. It's gonna be a lot easier that way. And I was crushed. I was and I know he didn't mean it that way because he was a huge football fan.
Yeah.
And I was, I was a big guy and I was pretty fast in PE and whatnot. And I think he was just dude, you're going to fucking kill it in football. So just do that, because band guys, I guess, in high school weren't as cool as the band guys in middle school, I guess. So I took his advice. I didn't go into music school or anything. I didn't go into the band class. But I remember my dad telling me, he's like, if you like playing bass, you're still doing it, whatever. He's like, just pick it up and wave it around, and you'll get picked up. Somebody will want to work with you, or somebody needs somebody. And no joke, dude, the first day of the orientation at Tracy High, I was a freshman. I was super nervous. A lot of my friends had went to the other school, West High.
Yeah.
But that big divide.
Yeah.
So all my friends are there, and then I'm I hope I find a band. I hope I find some friends. And then this one dude just you, Brandon. And I was like, is that you? And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? He's like, hey, do you play bass? And I'm like, weird, but yeah, I do. It's cool, you're in my band. And I was like, day one, I was like, this is great.
Who is this?
This is Greg Souza. He was the original drummer in My Beautiful Ending. And then he was in a band called, I want to say Year Without a Summer. So it was an emo band. Anyways, so
it was old school Tracy scene.
Old school, yeah.
I was super young at that time.
Do you remember that shit?
I remember My Beautiful Ending, but I don't remember that summer band.
It was there's a lot of those bands that I forget that were super good, but yeah, the fucking Battle of the Bands years, Yeah. Anyways, so I showed up to rehearsal and they already had a bass player.
Oh, what the?
And I was I had my mom drop me off. I was 14 or 13 or whatever I was.
Super awkward.
Yeah, and I had my shit ready to go, and their garage door was closed, and they're practicing. They're all a couple years older than me, and I heard the bass, and I was like, dude, what? What's going on here? And then so I knocked on the door because it's pre-cell phone,
Yeah.
They opened up the garage door, and they're like, hey, what are you doing here? I was like, I think I'm in the wrong spot. And Greg, the drummer, guy who singled me out, was like, no, man, you're good. Hey, man, you're fired.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, shit. So I
just like that?
You left his bass and just dropped and bounced.
Damn, they couldn't just be like, hey, we got somebody else before. They were just jamming already.
Yeah, it was
that's
crazy.
Heavy.
But the thing was, is everything, the band thing happens so organically. Like, you know, like we did a couple rehearsals under that moniker. Like I was joining their band, and they're like, "Oh, you know, fuck this, we're gonna start our own band." You know, and then like I'm like, oh, okay, like sure, and like, oh, we're gonna do this. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. I just kept saying yes and like sure, whatever, enough times to where like, you know, you play a show. Hey, we're gonna play a show at the Legion Hall. I'm like, sure, whatever. You know what I mean?
Do you remember who that bassist was that they kicked out?
I do remember.
Okay. We don't gotta say names. I was just curious if you know.
He's a cool guy. Like, I haven't talked to him in a long time, but like we're still like friends on Facebook, and I don't even know if he like remembers. Or he's probably at home. He's like, God, fuck this. Yeah.
He's got a bunch of pictures of you on the wall.
Yeah, he's just like throwing knives and shit.
The bass player community in Tracy's probably not that big. So.
Yeah, I know. It's like me and like two other people, and I don't even think he was like a bass player.
Oh, he's just
like playing bass because that was like the open spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my early years.
So I remember seeing for the first time "Regrets of a Tiffany Gun" at the Cellar.
Oh, yes.
And the Cellar was a church, I believe, and they let kids or whoever wanted to throw gigs in their basement.
Yeah. Biggest fire hazard I've ever seen.
there's no fire exits. There's nothing. It's just
no windows.
It's just just
like there's a pool table there.
There's a hot dog stand right in the middle. Dude, like looking back to this now, like it was like a bunch of kids and like it was like run like an older couple. Like it sounds really sketchy.
So it was just stairs that went down, and then you had the bands playing in the corner in the dark.
A very dark corner.
Until someone came down to like try to find their friend, and they turned the light off real quick and they look around and they turned it back on.
But I remember seeing I think Dark Cathedral opened.
Oh, yes.
Did they hang on. The bill was, from what I remember, was Regrets of a Tiffany Gun, Dark Cathedral, and Tears of Vanity. I remember those. Yeah, I remember, and there might have been another band, but I can't remember.
Dark Cathedral was the shit, man. Like they were, you know, it might have been Exile too, because Exile played a lot of shows.
You can't mention Tracy without
Exile. You cannot. I mean, the Tracy legends.
So I remember, and Joe was doing all the artwork because he's an artist. He's a tattoo artist. Shout out to Joe.
Ika Street Tattoos, man.
So he did all the artwork for the cover and on the CDs, and they had them all there, and I was like, yo, that's all sick. And then he was like, yeah, it's just like $5 or something. And I was like, Brandon, oh, that sucks. Like, I don't got no money. And I remember Brandon pulls money out of his own wallet, puts it in like their money box, and he goes, here you go. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so thank you. And
dude,
I appreciate that, because like I wish I still had it, and I had it for the longest time, but like your band,
I wish I still had it too.
Your band like really inspired like us, because we started playing around that time too. So
at least getting into like heavier music.
Definitely.
That was the first show I think I've been to that I went to. Yeah, I think that was my first show.
That might have been like our first show as that band too.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like we were. It happened really, really fast.
It must have been 2004.
2005, 2004, 2005. Because I think My Beautiful Ending was like right in the middle of 2004.
Okay.
And like I had showed up to Joe had another band with probably a lot of guys you know too. A lot of our old friends, and they were doing like metalcore, like As I Dying kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just like, you know, I showed up to a practice and me and Joe saw each other and we were both just like, dude, fuck this band, like let's do something. And then it just kind of happened. I just showed him some songs, and then, you know, it's so weird like trying to like conceptualize it like after the fact, because it was just like, hey, let's put a band together. Hey, let's write some songs. Hey, let's record these songs. Hey, let's play a show. And then like people just showed up, and it just didn't suck. I mean, it probably sucked, but at the time, you know, felt great.
I was gonna say, at that time, like you mentioned, As I Lay Dying, like that was the sound back then.
Yeah,
that was the sound.
You know, like a Taste of Chaos tour.
Yeah,
dude, that was like
the best. Okay, well, let's talk about that for a second, because that is, to me, still to this day, is one of the best like concept tours. No, just the fact like you're bringing like, you know, you brought the emo like side of it, and then you brought like the metal side of it, and then kind of had like a nice combination of both, because a lot of these guys had girlfriends that were super emo bands, you know, and then like vice versa. And like that was like the show you could see like Kill Switch, and then you know like
Atreyu.
Yeah, and then
like My American Heart.
They had like softer bands like that too.
Yeah, and then they had like, you know, what was that like
The Used,
like My Chem.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kill Switch, I think I ran into you at Warped Tour, and we saw Kill Switch Engage, I think Sacramento.
I've never been to Warped Tour.
Maybe it wasn't Warped Tour, but I saw Kill Switch Engage, and you were there.
Oh, it might have been Ozfest actually.
Oh shit, that must have been
05.
a long time ago.
That was I think the only time.
Was that the one with Iron Maiden?
Yep.
I think that's the one, and I think that was the last time I went to Ozfest.
I think it was one of the last Ozfests
right.
in general. I think they only went to like 2010.
Oh yeah.
Which sucks because again, like that was that lineup. I've talked about this. I did like an interview like, oh, what was like your favorite show? I was like, dude, like looking back, it was like Trivium and fucking Arch Enemy and like
shows were fucking sick, dude.
Black Dahlia, and these are like all like second stage bands. They were playing in like a parking lot. And it's like, shit.
I saw my first pair of boobs there.
Yeah, God bless, dude. Mine was trapped at the
concert
at the Clarion Hotel in Modesto.
You saw your first pair of boobs at a trap show.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna write a song about that actually.
Please do.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Okay, so before Regrets of Tiffany Gun, there was My Beautiful Ending.
Yes.
And then after Regrets, there was was there like a weird funk because it seemed like there was like a takeover.
Yeah, it was weird for a minute.
Because it turned into an entirely different, heavier, more death metal-y band with different people and different vocalists, like all around. Like they just like pretty much took the name. There's like one person, I think.
Yeah, just a brief overcap because like again, unless you're in the Tracy scene, like not a lot of people are gonna know what the fuck we're talking about at all. But basically, what happened was we were rehearsing at our drummer's house at the time, and like they kind of they all hung out and did their own thing.
Yeah.
And I was, I think, working at the time or doing who knows what, and Joe was working at the time, so we were kind of both doing our own thing separately, and then they were like hanging out and doing shit, and then we I guess they had like decided like they wanted to go in more of like which is weird because we wrote all these songs and they were like more death metal and everything was going great, but I just think that they didn't really gel with Joe too much.
Oh, okay.
I felt like there was like a weird tension like, hey, we have this other guy who's like he's in with us already.
Yeah.
And so like they were just basically trying to like find a way to like bring him in.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, dude, it'll be great. Like Joe doesn't really like fit the aesthetic that this band's going for, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, it's gonna be fine, blah blah blah, and I was like, nah, man, like if you axe him, I'm out of here. Like I'm not playing like that, and so that's what happened.
I think they should have just changed the name all around. I thought they were a great band. I like original Regrets of Tiffany Gun. The new one was like they were cool too. They had like Mitch Sudeth on drums. And what's his name? The other guitarist. Travis, and then the other guitarist, Nick. And they're a great.
Which I still like. Haven't really talked to Travis or Mitch in a long time, but I mean, I've talked to Kyle, which was the vocalist that replaced him. Yeah. I mean, he's still super cool. All those guys are super cool. It's just like I think at the time it was kind of weird because.
Well, I mean, it was really keep people getting like pushed out, and it's like really weird.
Well, they had their own scene going on too, because you have to remember like I don't know if you guys remember like what was the band like the Murder at Dawn scene.
Okay.
Where it was like Topher and Travis and Kyle, and like they have like their own thing. Like they were having house shows there, which I don't know if you guys ever went, but like they had like Madball there.
Like,
they had like Terror there once.
Trash
like,
Talk.
First Blood.
Trash Talk, like their first show.
Yeah, like a lot. They had they were really like, and they had their own kind of like micro scene within our scene. So like, I think they were more kind of like trying to get that
trying to
get that thing back together, and like they probably thought that we would have the perfect lineup with this and this, and I was just like, nah, man, like I don't think that's cool to just like knock somebody just because you want to get your boy in there.
So from that turned into Allegaeon.
Yep. And so that basically what happened was at that point I had written because they were going more in like a I don't know what you would call what their style was, like a breakdown kind of like deathcore, but kind of like disjointed kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it was super cool, but like. They have their own thing that they were trying to do,
Should have definitely changed the name.
Yeah, and I was like, I at that time I was like getting really pretentious about death metal. Like I was like, oh, I only listen to Alcest and Cynic and the Faceless and Spawn of Possession. Like I was getting into that mindset. Yeah. So I wrote all these songs just on like a little. Actually, here's a little fun story that I don't think I've told anybody. So this will be exclusive.
Whoa.
Exclusive. So when I'd always done this thing where like I had like thrown like a random like dart at the dartboard, like I just try something really random to see if it stuck, right?
Yeah.
MySpace times. A band that I listened to was looking for a bass player, and they said, hey, like here's like the tabs, like play this and like record yourself if you can. This is like before like phones and YouTube and shit.
Yeah.
It's like, record yourself and then like, send like a copy in and, we'll go from there or whatever. And I did it. I was like, I recorded it real quick and I sent it in, and then they emailed me back and they're like, yeah, you're really good, but here's like basically our whole album, and this is like a program that we use to like write our songs, and the program was Tabit, which is basically like, I don't know if you guys heard of Guitar Pro, but it's like basically like shitty Guitar Pro, like, it's just like super basic, like whatever. And that band was August Burns Red. Oh. And yeah, they sent me the tabs, and they're like, okay, just learn these songs, then get back to us and whatever. And then of course, like, you need like a license, you need this and that, like a driver's license,
Oh yeah.
Because they were all like, I think like 18 or 17 or 18 at the time, and I was like 15, 16.
So when you're that young and like you're 18 or like that's what you ask, like, oh, we're looking for a bassist. You have to have your own equipment. You have to you have to have your driver's license. You have to be this age. You have to, like, that's what. And when you get older, like, you just assume that.
Yeah, even nowadays too, like on the scale that we're at, like, being a good musician's like kind of expected. It's like the other shit, like being dependable, being responsible, not being a piece of shit.
Right.
Like that's like the really, really important stuff on top of being a good player. But anyway, so I emailed them, they emailed me back, and they sent me the songs, and then like I didn't think I was gonna get that far, so I just like pussed out, and I was like, because I didn't have a license or anything at the time. I didn't have a license, didn't have a car.
Well, you said you're 15?
I was like 15 or 16, okay. But I didn't get my license till like I was like 18 or something like that. So like I was like still pretty, maybe I was like 16 or 17 now that I think about it. But anyways, so I got this program that they sent me and to learn their songs, but I still have their songs on there.
Oh shit!
So yeah, but that's if I ever get a chance to meet him, I'm gonna tell him that story and be like, "What?"
That's a cool story, actually.
But anyways, so that program though, I ended up having fun with it, and that's how I wrote all the Allegaeon songs because because it was my first introduction to like. I always heard these parts in my head, like I hear the guitar and I hear the harmonies and I hear the bass and I hear the drums, but I had like no way to convey that, because I'm not a really good drummer. I kind of, once I left school, or I left the music program at school, I kind of drums just kind of fell off. And then, like obviously you can't play two instruments at the same time.
Yeah.
And shit. And my recording setup was kind of crude. So when I saw this program where you could basically just MIDI out all the guitars and the bass and the drums, I was like, shit, son. Like, we're going to write some songs today.
So you play it through?
No. You physically, like, on your computer. Yeah. You basically, like, there's like a like tablature, right?
Okay.
So they basically give you these empty tab lines, and then you just like put in the numbers and then space them out to like, and then it'll play it back to you. So like you kind of just basically learn.
Sounds like really tedious work.
Huge pain in the ass. Huge pain in the ass.
I was like hoping like, oh, you just play your songs.
No, dog.
And then it picks up the notes and it tells you which ones to play.
Dude, if that was the case, man, like fuck. But like it was really linear, and it was like a really like kind of like primitive software because you couldn't really do bends and you couldn't do like weird chords and shit. You'd have to be really creative with it. But for me, I was just writing so I had like stuff to listen to. Like I wasn't really writing for any kind of like, oh, I'm gonna start this band, blah, blah, blah. I was just like writing songs that I thought were cool. And so I had this like stash of like techie deathcore whatever songs. And then when all that shit went down with Regrets, I went to Joe and I was like, hey dog, like check this shit out. And then actually our OG drummer Stefan, who was the original guy in Regrets.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys remember him.
I remember.
Yeah, he had like left the band, and Mitch replaced him, and then so on and so forth. But I had been like still seeing him at school and hanging out and shit. And then I showed him the songs, and he's like, "Fuck yes, like let's do this." And so I got the band back together and just changed the name, and we recorded our first song was Atlas Mourned. We recorded in 2006.
Okay.
And we recorded it like 3 or 4 more times after that.
I remember that.
Because it was just never properly recorded.
I was in high school, and I think I went to school I went to Delta Charter with your guitarist?
Adam?
I think so, because he went to Delta as well.
Yeah, Adam's the guy. Dude, I fucking love it. It's actually was really bizarre. He moved to Boston to become a lawyer, and he's in town this week.
A lawyer?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a lawyer now. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so
I got some stories about that guy for another day.
So in between all that and all like Tracy All Stars and was it Funky Tim and the Merlots?
Oh yeah. So
you don't just play like
death metal
and like like progressive or whatever like you want to call it.
Yeah.
You also have like history in playing like in like cover bands and like you make good money from that, or how's that?
Yeah. So
I bet. Like,
I'll try to keep that short because like I I feel really weird just talking so much about myself.
No, this is what it's about. It's about
hell yeah, man.
It's about you and whoever's on here. Like, I'm trying to. I don't want to. This is not going to get out to a lot of people, but to the few.
Bullshit. It's going to get out to everybody.
But you know what I mean. Like, I want to get out, a message to whatever. My guests.
I'm just saying, if I come off as being a little shy, it's because I'm talking about myself.
This is you, man.
Anywho, especially the Tracy stuff. Like when I do interviews anywhere else, it's just like, oh yeah, Allegiance. How was this tour? And how's this? And how's that? But no one's ever like, hey, like, what was your first like local band?
Yeah.
Anyways, no. So funny story about that. After the Allegaeon thing kind of started, it was really, really weird because we dropped the song and like I felt the perception was really good, but then there was like a group of people that were just like not feeling it, or they were just like trying to like shut it down, or I don't know. Like it was just like, oh, this is just like. One person was like, oh, this shit's like programmed and it's fake. And I'm like, dude, I literally sat as this drummer played this shit. And if anybody's ever listened to it, you can hear clearly tempo mistakes. And there's mistakes all over the place. Like, and no.
It's probably like some young, ignorant kid.
No discredit. It's just that when you're young, I think just the scene itself, like, everybody, there was a really cool band community in Tracy for a long time.
There was.
And I think that every time a band came out, there was like this, like, oh, what are these guys doing? And then like, oh, that's stupid. Like,
people throw rocks at anything.
Yeah, and I never really gave a shit. Like some of the other guys were just like, this is fucking stupid, blah blah blah. But I'm like, dude, people are gonna fucking hate. Let them hate. I don't give a shit. But anyways, so I was really in deep with Allegaeon, and then my friend Tim. So I'd been in a band with my dad when I was like 14 or so. We had this like groove band that we played shows, and I was playing bars and
how did you play bars at that young age?
Outside.
Ah, okay, okay.
Luckily,
okay.
too, I grew a beard pretty early on, and I've always been like fucking 10 feet tall. So like most times I was able to like slide in, but I remember my first show ever. It was a West Valley Bowl. And I had to bring a cable and run it outside because they're like, dude, you're like 13 or 14 or whatever, and like you can't be here. So
when you played outside,
I played outside.
While the band was inside.
Yes, I had a long ass cable.
What?
I ran it out. If you guys are familiar with Tracy Bowl, you know that when you get in the parking lot, there's like a door.
Yeah.
There's the main door, and then there's like the bar door. It's like right off to the side. It's not. I don't think you can go in that way, but I think it's like an exit door or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they propped open the exit door for me, and I just fucking stood out there.
What the fuck? That is so funny.
And like people were coming up bowling, like looking at me, and I'm just like,
they're like, "What are you doing, kid?"
Just a big fucking doofy ass kid playing bass. Like,
so you heard it from outside, or you heard it like the music coming through the door.
Yeah, I mean they had the door open, and I could see my dad, so I could like get a because my dad was a drummer at the time, so I could see a visual of him playing drums. And I probably just sucked so much balls on that show, but I was like 13 or whatever it was, and like I just wanted to play. And
you're playing at the Tracy Bowl.
Tracy Bowl, yeah. Well, for me that was a big deal because like I'd never played a show before, so I was like, cool, like. But then I saw like video performance, like somebody in the audience had like a camcorder and shit. Oh my god, I look like such a fucking idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyways, so I was in this band Minor Discord with my dad.
Okay.
I had a couple different names. That was the name we stuck with and played. And we did bar gigs and whatnot. And then we met this guy Tim who joined the band. And then once I really started taking the metal thing on, like the Regrets and Allegaeon thing, we kind of just like we separated. Right? I want to say it was around like 2006 or something like that.
Okay.
Anyways, so what ended up happening was Tim had called me out of nowhere, and he'd started like a cover band just to make extra money. He's like, "Hey, I started this cover band, whatever," and they had a bass player, but the dude was kind of flaking. So he's like, "Hey, like, can you just like sit in on a gig?" And I'm like, "No." He must have called me like 5 or 6 times throughout like a course of like 3 months, and I was like, "Nope." That's sellout bullshit, and I'm not doing it. I was like, in high school, and I was like, "Fucking death metal, fuck posters and shit." Just stupid.
Yeah, that's just you get to playing and jamming with anybody and with whatever you're playing. It just feels good, and if you can make some money on the side, like why not?
Yeah, well, and that's the lesson that I learned because like I was like, he called me back again. It must have been like 08 or 09, and he was like, "Hey man, like listen, our bass player just fucking bailed. We have like the show coming up. It's like a really big deal for us. Like, can you just come and show up and like just hold a bass, do something, please." And I was like, "Fine, okay, sure, whatever." And so I showed up to the gig. I didn't really know much of anything. I like kind of listened to. I mean, it's like all shit that I don't listen to. You know, like I don't fucking listen to John Mayer. I'm like, what the fuck, you know? But I showed up, and like I played the gig really bad, and you know, I just like tried to solo and make it sound cool or whatever. And then we wrapped up the show, and I'm just like, dude, like I am never doing this shit again. This is a fucking waste. And then at the end of the show, my guy Tim comes up to me and he's like, okay, here's your cut, and I'm like, what is this?
Getting paid?
They go, yeah, it's your money, your cut. And I was like, at that point, I'd literally never gotten paid.
Yeah.
Like, I had done, like, hundreds of shows at that point, and I've never gotten shit at all. Like, nothing.
Do you remember what the cut was?
Yeah, it was like $60 or $60 or something like that. Which was, like, at the time, for me, I was like, shit.
If you're in a band and the whole band gets $60, then that's amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like, I think I played one show. I kind of lied. We played one show where we had to drive kind of far. It must have been like Monterey or some shit like that. And they gave us like $50 or $60 and like a pizza. And I was like, sick, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I think the most that, like, when we played shows, like, shit, they'll hand us like $40. I'm like, all right, we get like $10 a piece.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
And it's just like, exactly. Or they'll, like, you know, they'll give you like a discount or whatever. But like, I never had gotten paid. So like, when I got, and we were playing bigger shows. This is at the time when like, you know, Empire Theater in Stockton was doing like the big.
Yeah, they'd have like actual huge tour packages coming.
Yeah, like Winds of Plague and like Arsonist got all the girls and shit, and like we were doing like bigger shows, but like we were doing pre-sales, so like you know, we were hustling tickets, and then they'd be like, thanks for your ticket money, and now you can play your show, and I was like, that was your payment, was getting the exposure.
It's like that's like a weird form of like pay to play. Like
no, it's direct pay to play for sure. Like, because at the end of the day. I don't know if you guys have like actually done that like fucking hustling trying to sell tickets thing.
One time.
It's fucking garbage. It sucks.
One time we did that.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like, you know, I totally understand what they're going for, and especially like being on the other side now. Like, I get it. But even still, I think paying to play is complete bullshit because it's just like it kills the scene. And honestly, I think that was one of the main reasons why our scene in the Central Valley kind of died, because
there was a lot of that going on.
All the good shows, like through Modesto Virtual and like, you know, I think maybe the Workshop was the only place that didn't do that kind of thing. But like all the other like good shows, if you wanted to get a good show, you'd have to either play house party or you'd have to do a pre-sale show.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, it was trash. And we did that a couple times, and it's
hard to like convince people to buy, you know, tickets. And
you're like that guy in the mall that like sells that, you're in the middle fucking kiosk like selling random shit, like fucking like the beta fish and shit. Like, oh yeah, buy my beta fish. Like, no one's gonna want to fucking buy your shit.
Yeah.
So we did that a couple times, and then like you know, it just it was really, really shitty at that particular time. But even those big shows, we didn't make any money. So when I got my cut, I was like, hey, so like, you know, I don't know, like, do you have more shows coming up? Like, you know, they go, yeah, dude, we're playing like all summer. And I'm
I've
like,
only been like calling you like every weekend for
I was like
3
sold.
years.
So yeah, so that was my first experience on making money and playing, and then I've been just kind of doing it ever since.
I think I ran into you guys one time, and I think you were playing a Smash Mouth song.
No, that's completely inaccurate. I would never play a Smash Mouth song. However, I would love to play a Smash Mouth song. If that opportunity ever arises, I will definitely do it.
Maybe it was a different band, and I thought it was you.
I'm a whore for sure. I will. We had this one guy who we played at some fucking bar in Dublin, and he got super wasted and was like, "Hey, fucking play Metallica." And I was like, I looked at the guys and I was like, no, sorry. And he's like, oh, I'll fucking tip you like $20. And I was like, okay, like sure, why not? Fuck it. So we did some really shitty version of Metallica song. And then like an hour later, he came back drunker and he's like, oh, fucking, you guys played in Metallica? And I was like, yeah, we kind of did. He's like, oh, well, here's fucking $20, man. Play a Metallica song.
What the fuck?
I was like, dog, like I can't take your money. We'll just play it again. It's fine. You can sing it with us this time.
Holy shit.
But yeah, so I'm still doing that. The band now is Funky Tim and the Merlots. Reason being is because Funky Tim, same guy that I've known for like half my life at this point. He plays his own solo acoustic like singer-songwriter kind of things. So sometimes I'll accompany him. We also have a violin player who is interesting thing. Like with the exception of my dad, all the guys that are in this band are guys that were in the original band that we played with when I was like 14.
And that was called
Minor Discord was the first band.
One.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like all the same guys again, minus my dad. He lives in LA now.
Wow.
But yeah, it's wild, man.
When you play with like Funky Tim, like do you get bored compared to when you played with like Allegaeon?
Well, I guess it's like polar opposite.
Yeah, oh, dude, I fucking love it. I played 2 days ago. We did like, so we get to do like a lot of cool like little wine tasting rooms and wineries, and it's a lot of fun because like it's just it's a different vibe. Like Allegiant's very even like the other like grind band, I'm in Peasant Hands, even Allegaeon, all that stuff. It's always been very like you're performing, you're putting on a show, everything's pretty strict to the grid. Like you have a kind of a set thing that you guys play your songs the same way, etc., etc. With this band, it's like freedom. Like we stretch songs out sometimes, we change the vibe of them.
See, that's what I enjoy. I want to get more into. Is like when you jam with somebody and then you can just look at each other and you're like, no, we're still going.
Yeah.
And then you go, no, this is right here. Boom, and you end the song.
Yeah, dude. And like our guy Bob, like he does this thing on guitar where like the new thing that we're doing together is he starts finding all these really weird chord extensions. So he'll like throw a weird like 11 chord or like a flat 5 somewhere, and I'll just be like, dog, what? So like we'll try to out chord each other in the middle of sets and shit, and people are just like, cool, yeah, play fucking fun, Steve Miller. Like, yeah, no, dude, it is. Honestly,
I just jamming out things.
I'm fortunate enough that I get paid for it, which is great. But honestly, I would probably do it for free just because I have so much fun playing. And I've known these guys for years. They're like a lot of them are like father figures in a way, because I kind of like they taught me. The thing is, when you're in music school, they are kind of polite, like, oh yeah, you're a little sharp, you're a little flat, you're a little off tempo, whatever. When you're playing like an actual band, they're like, dude, shut up. Like, you're too loud. Like, or you're, what was that?
Yeah,
don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so so you mentioned Peasant Hands. So so we had Allegaeon, and then how many years after that you guys started Peasant Hands?
So Allegaeon kind of fizzled out. So we did a couple tours with Allegaeon. We did like 3 or 4 U.S. runs, and they were all awesome. They were great. But our drummer, we kind of went through some. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember. We went through fucking band member after band member after band member after band member.
And I remember you even jumped on to guitar as well.
Well, I stayed in guitar. I jumped on bass a couple times.
Okay.
But I pretty much stayed on guitar. But we had our guy Adam. He joined as a guitar player, and then he jumped on drums for a while. Then he jumped on bass for a while.
So everybody kind of like filled in where you.
I just remember what Adam looked like now because we were talking about him. I'm like, I can't remember. I'm like, okay, I remember what he looks like now.
I wish I could have called him and just had him. He would have came down, and I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so
but anyways, to answer the question. So Allegaeon was kind of, we had gone through the whole pre-sale thing, gone through the whole touring thing, which I think touring changes a band in any regard, especially when you're touring on like a low budget kind of like, I DIY'd that whole thing pretty much. I would call venues, I would email them. I was just fucking hustling my ass off trying to do this shit. And like the positive thing was like a lot of times we got pretty good shows. But then, like, there was a follow-up of, like, making sure we got paid and making sure, like, my guys could take time off of work. And, I mean, it's a whole fucking...
So you were a band manager as well, basically. Like, you had to be.
Well, me and Joe kind of split everything. So, like, he was basically in charge of, like, on top of the music, so, like, excluding the music, he was basically designing everything. He was designing merchandise. He was doing concept art. He was, doing layouts and... doing all the Photoshop shit that I can't do. Yeah. And just fucking killing it. And then he was also kind of, like, my barometer... so we would kind of brainstorm different ideas, and then he would help me kind of route things and this and that. But basically, I would like cold call venues and email promoters and talk to other bands and be like, hey, where do you guys play at? And I just did that shit, like I said, 2 or 3 times, and it just kind of like every time we did it, it just got better and better and better. But our drummer Adam, who was our last guy at the time, he was kind of at the point where he wanted to go to school, and he kind of wanted to like go down that route. And he's like, I just need to change. I want to do this and that. And we were all kind of a little bit haggard from the road as it was. We're kind of getting like this greasy mentality of like, fuck tech metal, fuck this, everything's got to be gross and shitty and nasty and like. So when he decided to go to school, we kind of had like a little gestation period where we just said, we're writing these songs. I never stopped writing. I just kept writing shit. But it just wasn't sounding like Allegaeon anymore. And like one of the key members, Adam, had been like our third wheel of the tricycle for such a long time. To have him leave, it was just kind of like, man, let's just shelve this. I still love those songs. I think that there will be a time at some point where that will, potentially surface, but it just needed to like stop. And then we needed to kind of go, I was getting into listening to different kinds of music anyways. And so, it's still me and Joe at the forefront, but it was just a greasier, like no riffs, no like techie, no breakdowns. It was just kind of like grime.
So who are the Current members in Peasant Hands.
Current members are me, Joe, and our drummer Big Joe, which is actually the smallest guy.
So it's a three-piece.
It's a three-piece band. Yeah, we had a bass player for a while. Just didn't really work out. And honestly, the way that technology works now is I can, it was a shame to see him go, but at the same time, you kind of have to keep going. You can't just like stop. Yeah. So my good old trusty MacBook is the bass player for right now.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to play bass in my band, just or know of a good bass player, please call me.
So let's talk more about Allegaeon. They're from Colorado. Like, how did they contact you? How did you get into that? Like,
that whole thing. The Allegaeon thing.
Yeah, because you're from here.
Yeah.
Did they contact you? Like, did you have to fly out to try out? Like, what's going on with that? How did that happen?
Yeah. So that was a cool story. So right around like early Peasant Hands times, like it might have even been before Peasant Hands, like maybe 2014, 2015. I had a mutual friend post something online saying, "Hey, this band from Colorado needs like a fill-in or something on bass."
Yeah.
So I kind of just like, I was like, well, shit, it's the same like thing, August Springs Red thing.
Oh, okay,
I was just like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. So I hit him up and I said, hey man, like, you guys need to fill in. Here's my deal. At this time, I already had a license and I already had all my shit. So I was like, hey, if this actually works, like, I can do it.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, sorry, before you continue, what year? When did this all happen?
I want to say it was like 2015.
Okay.
2014, 2015. I had already been working full time. I was like working full time at my job. Still doing the cover band, still doing like Allegaeon Peasant Hands kind of, but it wasn't really.
It was transition.
Yeah, we were kind of in like that growing period. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, what's going on? So I hit them up and I said, hey, listen, I'm down to fill in whatever, and they're like, okay, well here, learn this song and send us a video of you playing the song. Pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. So I did it. I did it in my work clothes. I think actually that video is still online. I think I left it on there because fuck it, I don't give a shit.
We should link that in this description.
Yeah, I'll put it in the bio because it's going on YouTube.
Perfect. Well, this interview's over. So I just sent him a video of me playing, and he hit me back up and was like, yeah, dude, like that's awesome, cool, thanks. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then like a week went by and like I didn't hear anything, and I was
that's like the worst feeling.
And I was like, cool, so like what's the deal here? And then he's like, oh yeah, you're still like the front runner, but and this is I apologize for my impressions because I'm not trying to be like disrespectful or anything, but it was our guitar player Greg in Allegaeon, and he was super friendly about it. He was just like, well, hey, like you're still like the front running guy, but we have this other stuff we're trying to figure out, so we'll just don't call us, we'll call you, kind of thing. And I was like, okay. Which, in the music business, like, you just can't take it personal. You just got to be like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, these days, there's so many musicians, everybody wants to,
Exactly. And, like, you can't, like, anything that you say is just going to make you look like, if you're taking it personally, you're being, stupid.
Yeah.
So, I just let it go. And then he kept kind of just chiming in every now and again, like, hey, yeah, tour's still on, we'll send you some stuff in a bit. And then I just kind of kept going, okay, sure, just let me know. And then it got to a point where it was like a week before the tour, I want to say, and I was like, hey, listen, like, I kind of need to let my work know if this tour is going to happen. Like, can you just tell me what's going on?
Yeah, understandable.
And he was just like, listen, man, I'm really, really sorry. Our bass player is actually going to do this tour with us. He worked something out with work, and he's going to make it, so we more or less don't really need you. And I was like, word, man. I was like, well, hey, thanks for letting me know, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was it. And, like, that was, like...
For how long?
For, like, a good couple years.
Holy shit. And they just put you like in the file.
I want to say it was like at least a year. I mean, I'm really bad with time, so like if anything is inaccurate with time,
it felt like a couple years.
But still, it was a long time.
It was a long time, but it was fine because like I had already kind of like had this Peasant Hands idea kind of cooking, and Joe. The thing about Joe, he's like fucking the most like driven, motivated person for literally anything I've ever met. I mean, he will just fucking like if you tell him there's a chance to get this particular thing by going like fucking way out of your way to do it, like driving to fucking Seattle to take a chance on something, he will be like, cool, when are we leaving? Like,
I mean, Joe's just like you, another multi-skilled person.
Yeah, like he's fucking like interviewing like fucking celebrities in fucking LA right now for like film festivals and shit. Wow. And then he's like, yeah, I'm interviewing fucking Bruce Campbell right now, but I'll be back.
Really?
I'll be back to tattoo in like 4 hours.
I didn't know he was doing that. Maybe I better get him on here then.
He doesn't. Yeah, you should.
And he's also been breakdancing for how long? Like since I met him.
I think he's a fucking alien. Actually, he just like
he might be. He might.
But the thing is like like he's been my right hand for so long, and then like he also just like I said that driving force. So like when. That Allegaeon thing, it's not like I was really like, I mean, of course I was looking forward to it, but it wasn't like I need this or that's it, I'm fucking done. It was just kind of like, if this works out, cool. If it doesn't work out, whatever, I have this other thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to like just sit and be like, fucking poor me, So I just, we just kept business as usual and kept going on that. And this is when things get really interesting because at that time, Peasant Hands was starting to form up. I had started some like bass solo stuff just for fun, like little videos of me just doing my thing.
Like your social media stuff.
Yeah, social media, just a couple videos.
I love watching those, by the way, because
dude, thanks.
And I'm glad that you are playing with Allegaeon right now and I see your pictures and you played for like, I'm like finally because this is what you're meant to do. I'm sorry, this is what you're meant to do. Like,
yeah, well, thanks.
Playing for all these people because you're so talented, you're so skilled. And this guy like blows my mind. You guys gotta check it out, like really. So
just link that first audition video.
no, just continue.
All the mistakes. So I basically just kind of went through the motions on that, and then we built up Peasant Hands to be this thing. We started playing a couple shows, and like, dude, it went really well. I mean, we had a little bit of hiccup with getting our album released in a timely fashion because we were spending so much time trying to like perfect it. But we were so satisfied. Things were lining up really good with that. And then the bass solo thing was kind of cool. And then I got actually hit up by another band, like a really big band, just out of nowhere, because one of my mutual friends was like, dude, like we need a bass player, and like you're that guy.
What band was that?
I don't know if I should say.
Okay, you don't have to say.
Yeah, I don't want to make a thing out of it.
Okay. Continue.
Yeah, but anyways, they had hit me up right around that time, and they were like, it was really weird because everything kind of happened at once. So Peasant Hands, as they were starting to grow, Peasant Hands got a record label offer, and like it was huge for us. Like we're like, fuck, oh my god, we finally fucking did it, like Jesus. And it was like, they'd hit us up, they'd heard the demo, like basically an early copy of it, and they were just like, yeah, like we're all in on this, sign your name kind of thing. And we were just like, fuck, like great. So we signed our deal, and that same day the other band had hit me up. And then they were like, hey, this is what's going on. We're looking for this guy. And I was like, cool, yeah, send me the music. So they sent me the music. And then I think it was like that same week, they announced that the bass player for Allegaeon was leaving.
What the of course.
And then so like
all the same goddamn time.
So like I had like I might have hit up that might have been, like I said, maybe a little bit before the record signing. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But in any case, I had hit him up. I was like, hey Greg, what's going on? Like I'm still. Like what's going on with your bass player? Like, what's up? And he's like, dude, I am so fucking glad you texted me. Like, shit. And he'd already assumed that, because I had been so busy, I guess maybe fucking the curse of online perception.
Yeah.
He was like, I thought you were just like way too busy to like take anything else on.
Or you were just like, whatever, you guys fucking.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, everything kind of converged at one point, and then basically all these bands were just like, well, I shouldn't say all these bands. The two bands were, basically, hey man, like if you want to work on something, we can make this happen. And then I was doing my band getting signed and getting that whole thing kind of lined up. And then basically, the other band thing, I learned a couple songs, did my thing, and then it kind of just fell through. It just didn't really, I guess metabolize into anything.
Yeah.
And then Allegaeon hit me up and was like, hey, so if you're serious, we have this thing coming up. And we'd like to talk to you about it. We're playing, I want to say it was the fucking Metal Blade tour. It was with like Cattle Decapitation in Whitechapel. And,
wow. Cattle Decapitation.
Necromancy and Stone, something like that.
I've seen, I saw Cattle Decap, and I've seen, what was the other band?
Whitechapel.
The Whitechapel, I've seen both of them, they're really good. And
yeah, they're insane. But yeah, they're like, hey, we have this Metal Blade tour coming up. We're going to be in town. I think we're going to like the Warfield or the Fillmore or something. Like, hey, like come out. We can talk about business and what, whatever. Because at this point there had been like a couple of weeks, I think, where we didn't really communicate because I was working on this other band doing other shit. And then Peasant Hands, obviously. Anyway, so my buddy Adam was in town again visiting. He was going through school, I think, wrapping up. And then I was like, dude, like I have this like I'm supposed to go out to the Fillmore. They told me like I'm on the guest list, and like I'm pretty sure this is like a fucking joke. So do you want to like come with me as like support in case this just like backfires?
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck yeah. So dude, we went to Goat Whore was the other band on that bill.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I got a funny story about that guy too. But anyways, anyways, so we show up. I showed up early. I was kind of nervous because I mean, dude, I'm gonna walk to the front and be like, hey, I'm here. I'm on the guest list, you know, and they're gonna be like, get the fuck out of here, loser. I just drove an hour and a half to get fucking turned away and get a massive prank pulled on me.
What year was this now?
This is 2017, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016, 2017, something like that. So bad with dates. So anyways, me and Adam got there a little early, so we did the fucking knowledgeable thing and went to like fucking like Japantown, or went to like one of like the little malls and just fucking got drunk on sake and ate sushi and just like just fucking like I'm gonna leave the best impression with this guy, you know, because like we didn't get shit faced, but like I got a little drunk. Yeah, I was feeling good, and I was like, you know what, if nothing's gonna happen, so like I walked up to the front. I'm like, yeah, I'm on the guest list, you know, for Allegaeon. And she's like, what's your name? And I was like, here's my ID. And she goes, oh, okay, cool, you're here, you're in. And I was like, wow, it worked. So
I'm kidding.
So yeah, so then I walked back there, and they're like, yeah, this is like all access, so backstage is over here, because I was like, I have a meeting. So I walked back, I saw them play. As I walked in, Allegaeon was playing. So like it was like I got to see them playing, and they already had a bass player doing their thing. Andrew Greavy, one of the fucking nicest guys in the world. And I watched their set, and then I went backstage, and I walk in, I'm like, you know, doing that whole like job interview, like, got this, we're fine. And the first person I see is Riley, our vocalist, and he's like, Boo Boo Money, what's up, man? And I was like, what? He's like,
he just called you
that? He just called me that, and like, and then he looks to Greg, and he's like, dude, did you not tell him? And I was like, what's going on, guys? Like, come on. He's like, oh yeah, well, you know, we have a Brandon in the band, and we have a Michael in the band, and your name's Brandon Michael, so we were gonna just call you BM, but we're like, that's kind of rude. So we're just like fucking Boo Boo Money. That's what we're gonna call you.
So that's how you got Boo Boo Money.
So that was, I think it was Riley was the guy who. So that was really weird to walk into.
Because I seen that on your Instagram, because you did a interview, and I was like, Boo Boo Money. I was like, I mean, that sounds like something Brandon would say. He would definitely say Boo Boo Money. But I had never heard anybody call Brandon Boo Boo Money.
Yeah, it just stuck on their end. I think they were just like looking for, because when you know, I mean, you guys know when you play, you like I would say somebody's first name or last name, like, hey, fucking, you know, like Art, or you know, hey Park, or you know, like whatever, right? Yeah. You know, like so that's how it's always been. But because there's a Brandon and a Michael in the band,
that makes sense.
They couldn't, you know, so
is that what they currently call you?
Yeah, they still call me Boo Boo to this day. Like I literally, no one in the band has called me Brandon
or Michael.
No, to this day, it's just Boo Boo. Sometimes it goes Boo Boo Muffin. Sometimes it's just, you know, just Boo Boo. Sometimes it's just Boo. Sometimes it's fucking asshole. No, I'm just kidding. I walked in. We had a meeting, and they're basically like, hey, we have these two events coming up. They're like charity events, but they're like headlining sets. So like to kind of break it down, like support slots are usually like 35 to 40 minutes, 25 to 40 minutes. Headlining slots are usually like, you know, 60 to 90 minutes. So like so they're basically, we have these two headlining slots. It's going to be a lot of material. It's going to be next month. Do you want to like, you know, come in and like do these gigs? And I was like, yeah, dude, like fucking let's do it. So they sent me a shitload of music. Like I feel like maybe they can, you know, elaborate at some point, but
if it was 40 minutes, and how long are the songs?
You know, it was a 60.
Oh,
yeah, we played.
Oh, you headlined.
We headlined. Yeah, they had two headlining dates coming up.
So you were playing like an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and 20, something like that.
That's a lot.
And they were just like, here's like all the material. You know, here's all the stuff. Dude. So like I learned it. I tried to get it down to the best of my ability, and I took a fucking chance and I flew out. And the whole thing was just really surreal. The first show was a.
So they flew you out.
They flew me out.
That's so cool.
It was I want to say the first show was in Denver at a place called Summit Music Hall, and no, actually I take it back. The first show was in a town called Beardstown, Illinois, which is actually our drummer's hometown-ish kind of area, and he hadn't played there. Like that was like the first metal band that had ever played there. It was like a little bar, but it was like a charity.
Yeah.
So like it was like kind of like. imagining like a big band going to like the fucking Great Plate or something. So like everybody was like, "Fuck yeah!" So like the place was just
it was a packed house,
and everybody knew each other. You know, it was like, or like the Legion. I don't know if you guys remember Legion Hall.
Yeah,
same kind of thing. It's like, oh fucking, you know, terrors at the fucking Legion Hall. Holy shit! Like I don't listen to hardcore, but
Casa Nachos.
Oh damn it! I missed that place.
Oh good.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah. So I flew out. We did the rehearsals, and it was a really weird like. I don't want to be disrespectful. It's like a really weird cold vibe. Like the thing with all the bands in Tracy, like everybody knew each other, so everyone was like, "Oh, what's up? How's it going? This and that." Blah blah blah. It was just like I showed up, and it was like, "Okay, let's run through it." And I was just like, "Okay," so I did my thing, and I was so fucking nervous on that first show. Like we played, and he's like, you know, the drummer's mom was there. She hadn't seen them play. I don't know if ever really.
How much time did you have to practice those like hour and a half set?
Like a month. I had enough time. I mean, but it's dude.
You had to like drop a lot of shit and just concentrate on this one thing.
Yeah, if you've ever listened to our band, like those guys are fucking shred masters.
There's a lot of notes.
So they're just like, they're one of the few bands too. I guess we are one of the few bands. I feel like, you know, really, because we play 8 strings, and I don't think we even really have a breakdown. Maybe like one in the entire discography.
I dig that a lot.
So it's just like they're like fucking
moving.
They're moving the whole time. So it's just like, you know, it was definitely an adjustment because even with you know, Allegaeon, like I had like written those riffs. So for me, it was just like, you know, fucking cake. You know,
yeah, because you wrote them.
So I wrote them, but. You know, learning all this stuff, it was a little overwhelming, but it was also kind of cool because the other band that I remember I told you there's 2 bands that I was kind of talking to. The other band was like a straight tech death band, like straight tech. And I had learned a couple of their songs, and I was just like, at the end of it, it was really cool, but just like trying to like, it was one of those things like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Necrophagist or like Spawn of Possession, where it's just like, it'll be like the same riff, but it'll like change a couple things at the end, or they'll like move it up a half step. And It's, and there's like no rhyme or reason. It's just like fucking tech for the sake of being tech, which is sick as shit, but like playing it's just like you have to. I've always been more about like fucking enjoying my shows, you know, like, fucking having a good time, and like it's really hard to do that when you're just like
you gotta actually look. You have to actually look. And now you can't just be like looking around and playing. You just gotta be like, oh my god, I gotta make sure I play every fucking right note. So
at this time, I was like learning basically both bands' music. And like Allegaeon was kind of nice because there was like these moments where I could just be like a bass player.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to like follow the guitars. I could just kind of groove on the low notes or make my own thing. So it was nice. So I guess in that regard, there was definitely prep involved, but it wasn't like I guess I had enough time. But I showed up to the gigs, and the first one I thought went really well. And then the second one comes along. It's like the day later, and then they're basically like, "Hey, like this is our hometown show. We have a lot of like friends coming out."
Yeah.
And then, of course, these guys' friends are, like, big guys, you know, like, these are guys who play, like, you know, in bands like Havoc and bands like fucking Job for a Cowboy and shit, and I'm just like, Cephalic Carnage, and I'm like, dude, like, you have all these guys coming out, and, like, this is overwhelming, you know, but he wasn't trying to get in my head, he was just like, hey, like, you know, it's going to be a big show for us, it's going to be a Hometown show, you know, just have fun, do your thing. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty high on it. Like, I'm feeling great. I'm like, dude, like, I think I have this gig locked down.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know I killed it, and I say that with, like, trying to be, like, as, I guess, like, non-conceited, I guess is the way to put it. I was just like, I knew in my heart, like, you know when you kill something? I'm like, I fucking killed this.
You destroyed the fucking,
So we're going into the second show, and then the guitar player's like, hey, man, like, I just want to, like, thank you for, and this is before the set. He's like, I just want to thank you for, like, coming in and filling in. Like, we still have more people to audition, you know, but and at this point, I had, like, met everybody. I had met, like, the bass player, the original bass player that was leaving. I had, like, partied with him the night before. I had met everyone's families, like their dads and their sisters.
That was considered an audition?
Well, that was the thing. So I had met all these people, like OG fans who'd been following the band since like the Allegaeon days for Allegaeon, like the early first album, like EP shit. And they're like, dude, like you're the guy, you're the one. And everyone's like telling me like, you know, like, dude, like you're the guy. Like I'm so glad, happy that you're involved in this. And then I just remember feeling like it was a kind of a done deal. And then Greg sat me down and was like, hey, just like, you know, thanks for trying out, man. We have a couple other people we got to talk to, and, you know, but you really kind of saved us on this. So, you know, like, thanks, man. And I was just like, what? Fuck, man. Like, had to tell me this before we played the show.
Yeah, you could have just been like, hey, this is a tryout.
There's no certainty in anything.
No. And what's funny, too, is like, he'll, to this day, he's like, I don't remember ever saying that. I'm like, dude, you fucking absolutely said that.
Shit, dude.
And he sat there, and he was just, and he was just trying to follow due process, because I think the Metal Blade had other people in mind. They knew a couple other people that, like, their bands had recently disbanded or something, and they're like, hey, this guy, you know.
I mean, he probably had to tell you what he had to tell you, you know.
Yeah, so he was just like, you know, we need to audition these other guys and whatever. And so, again, I didn't take it personal, but I took a walk. I'll never forget this. I left the venue. I took a walk by myself, and I was just like, dude, like, if this is going to be my last show with this band, I'm going to, like, fucking murder it. I'm going to set this bar so unrealistically high that if they get somebody else, they're going to regret.
Hell yeah.
You know, ever, like, passing up on me, you know, like, and it was super cheeseball, but, like, you know, in my mind, I was like, you know, like, I'm gonna fucking put my heart into this shit. So I did. The footage is really hard to find, but I think if you Google, like, Allegaeon Summit Hall, you can find it. Maybe, I don't know.
Where'd you say it was?
It was in Denver. It was a hometown show.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So I remember we played the show, and, like, I don't know what it looked like visually, but I just remember, like, I just put everything out there. Like, at the end of the show, it was to the point where, like, when we wrapped up playing, I think I, like, walked off stage and just didn't talk to anybody for, like, 2 minutes just to, like, take it all in and be like, you know, because my bass was just so greasy, like, salt marks everywhere. And it was a fucking, and, you know, big guy sweat, so, like, it was just like drenched, and I was like, you know, fuck it, I fucking did it, you know, have at it. And so then all these people came up to me after the show, like, all these you know, like, fans or whatever, and they're like, just, like, mouth agape, like, fuck, like, holy shit, like, you know, wow.
That's I still do that, and even when I just see you on Instagram, because this guy's literally like, it doesn't look real, but I'm like, what the shit,
you know, it's
dude?
funny, it's like I'm telling the story, and, like, maybe in my mind I'm, like, imagining it to be this way, maybe everyone's just like, oh yeah, good show, dude, but, like, in my mind, like, everyone was just like, you know, you absolutely killed it. So I was like, hey, tell that guy. Like, I just kept telling everybody, I was like, go to the guitar player, go to the guys in the band, tell them all this stuff. I appreciate it, I really do, but, like let them know. So, like, I was trying to basically do my own due process, and then when the big league friends came around, I was, like, you know, packing up my stuff, and then the big league guys are like, oh, who's the new bass player? You know, come on, welcome to the family, this and that. And, like, I was like, I'm so glad you're saying this. Like, say it louder so everyone can hear it. But either way, like, the show went really well. And then the guitar player came, he's like, hey man, like, we're going to go hit the bar. If you guys ever check out, Allegaeon shot a video called All Hail Science at this brewery called Black Sky. It's kind of like our home base in Colorado. And basically we go, every time we play in Denver, we go party there afterwards. So they're like, hey, you know, we're all going to Black Sky. Hey man, like, take a drive with me, you know, let's go. Like, after we all packed up and shit. Yeah. And the guitar player is basically just like big size, like, so here's the deal. Metal Blade, and, like, I don't even know if he said Metal Blade. He's just like, you know, we have these other guys that we kind of have to audition. They've just been friends of the band for a long time. Like, you fucking killed it. Just, you know, kind of like a, you know, you did good, but, like, no hard feelings if it doesn't work out kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, you know, it is what it is. So we grabbed some beers, and then he's basically just like, like, you know, we have a couple more things coming up, and then we'll just kind of be in touch throughout the process. I was like, cool, you know, whatever. At that point, I had felt I did what I had to do. So, like, if it wasn't going to work out, I still had Peasant Hands going on. We had just gotten signed. So we had that whole thing, like, lining up, which was a whole story in itself, but for another day.
We'll get into that another time.
So the next morning they took me to the airport. I flew home. The whole time home, I just, like, felt really good about myself in terms of, like, you know, me doing a good job, at least the best of my ability. And then I wanted to see, you know, my girlfriend at the time. See my family, see my dogs, the whole deal. And then I got home. I remember I needed to get a new car because I had, like, my other car just shit out on me. So I was like, okay, first thing I gotta do is I gotta go buy a car. So I'm, you know, doing all this stuff or whatever. And then I think it was the same day, maybe the day later, Greg had called me, the guitar player. He's like, hey man, how was your flight? I want to say it was the same night. He's like, hey man, how was your flight? Did you get home safely? I'm like, yeah, man, it was good, man. Thanks for asking. I'm just kind of settling in. He goes, cool, man. Well, if you want the gig, it's yours.
Oh shit!
Wow. I think it was a day later because I think it was after, like, the show had passed or something. Either way, but he's basically just like, yeah, if you want it, it's yours. That's how it is.
I like how casually he offered it to you. If you want it,
he's like, it was just kind of like I want to remember, like, it was just like, if you want, it's yours. But it wasn't like that. He was just like, yeah, if gig's yours if you want it, man.
What was your reaction though?
I was a little taken aback, dude, because like I'd already psyched myself out to just kind of like it was a cool opportunity, and like I really did feel like those couple days, going from all the shit that I've done and all the shit the time and shit I've invested, and you guys know that nothing is ever guaranteed. Like, you can pour your money and your heart and your songs and do everything quote the right way, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna make it. So like for me, I got like a taste of it, so I was just like, cool. Like, I got a taste of it, I did my best.
Yeah.
And so like I'd psych myself out to just get back on the grind and to kind of go do our thing. And then when they offered it to me, I was just like, I sat there for a minute and I was like, wow, that's wild. So
what did you have to prepare for after that? Was there a tour?
No, there was nothing.
Oh,
you're just in.
So they basically they told me I had joined, but then they like nothing got really announced or anything because we had nothing else on the books. So it was kind of a really weird time. Like I got hired, and then we had a few months where we didn't do much. But then, yeah, man, rest is history. We got our first tour with me and the band, I should say.
Was that overseas?
The first one was a U.S. tour with a band called Neobla Viscaris, which have become the absolute best friends of mine. I love those guys. Cool. We toured with them like 4 times already, overseas and in Australia. But
so you fucking been to places.
I have been to a couple places, yes.
A couple places. Oh.
But yeah, dude, it was cool, man. And like, I guess here we are, man.
What's your favorite spot to play?
A favorite spot to play, I really like playing home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly even anywhere in California, really.
Well, speaking of that, what do you have coming up? I saw you had some shows lined up that are coming up real close.
So we released an album earlier this year called Apoptosis in July, I want to say. And we basically are kind of like scheduling different legs of the tour to try to hit as many markets as we can in the U.S. So we did the first leg about a month or two, and then we're doing leg 2 with a band called Inferi and a band called Paladin. That starts on October 12th, I want to say.
Okay.
But yeah, we're hitting a lot of spots. I'm going to be gone for about a month.
What do you have anything nearby?
Yeah, we I gotta check it. I'm so bad, so unprepared. We're playing Oakland Metro, I want to say.
What day? Do you know exactly?
I can tell you. We can have some idle talk while I find the.
Yo, because I'm really I tried. I think I wanted to catch Peasant Hands.
Yeah,
I missed that one. I'm probably not as busy as you, but I'm fucking busy too.
No one's as busy as me. Goddamn it.
It'd be really cool to catch a Legion and to see you that like in that
Yeah.
in that light, because I haven't seen you play in a long time.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. It has definitely. Well, there's no places in town really. Like I said, you have to go to the Bay Area or go to Sacramento.
Yeah, I know. That's all. I mean, the closest I play is in Stockton. I throw shows here, but it's a pub.
Well, book my band, man.
We want Peasant Hands.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, totally. See, that's the thing with me is that Peasant Hands were a little bit more selective on shows just because I'm not trying to sound like I'm above anyone in any regard at all, but I've played so many shows that have been like in front of like no one, or like I've driven 3 hours and.
Dude, I don't even want to talk about that.
You know what I mean?
I know about the being selective because we've talked about like is this worth it? Like we're gonna spend all of our money to go out here and play like on a Sunday, not work the next day.
Not only money, but time.
Yeah, and then like time, like with Peasant Hands, not that Allegaeon or anything like that was anything less, but like it was a very personal experience for all of us to write that music because we wrote it together. That Peasant Hands, I don't think I explained this, but I didn't do any prep work with Peasant Hands. I wrote the songs basically in the room with the guys.
So it's ready to go, basically.
Yeah. Well, so there was no like, here I wrote these songs and now learn them. It was like, hey, we're writing this together. So it's like a really, really personal process. Yeah, collaborative. And it was really special to me. And one thing I wanted to do, and when I mean selective, was that I didn't want to just like be like how it used to be and just take everything that I got offered. Like, I'll play a fucking, I'll pay like a 3-year-old's birthday party. I don't give a shit. I'll play here, I'll play there. But like now it's a little bit more like, I want to make sure we get paid a little bit. I want to make sure that the show is like going to do something for us.
Yeah,
and the art's being like, kind of interpreted as intended. So we still play for sure. We're in writing mode now. But, if an event comes up and we can make it happen, we can swing it, then we get our shit together and we do it.
What's your minimum pay?
$5 million.
I can give you like $60.
No. Sold. Sounds good.
So the date at the Oakland Metro.
Yeah. The tour starts in Salt Lake on the 15th. It goes to Oakland on the 21st, which I believe is a Monday.
October 21st.
October 21st. So
I think I can be there.
There's a little thing.
How much are tickets?
I think they vary. They're pretty affordable though.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool. One thing that's cool about this, it's a headlining run. So as I mentioned, we get to play longer, which I fucking love doing. Also, these bands that are touring with us are
Paladin
and Inferi.
Okay.
Are fucking sick ass bands, sick ass guys. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think just getting a chance to hang out with these guys and work together. That's I think been my favorite part actually about this whole process, is just like meeting.
Yeah, that's like my most favorite thing when I play all the shows, meeting different people, networking, and just
I remember I remember fun little story. I remember we played something called the Summer Slaughter tour like last year. And the tour was kind of rough, to be honest. It was a really weird year because it was mostly like prog and like gent bands.
Okay.
Summer Slaughter is typically known for like the death metal, like gruesome.
I see.
So we toured. The headliner for that tour was the Between the Buried and Me, and I think Born of Osiris, Veil of Maya, Era.
I didn't even know all these bands still play.
Yeah. Oh, and they not on top of playing, they're like super successful.
Damn.
BT Bam actually got nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, really?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What
So
the
like. Yeah, so these bands are still doing it, and they're still fucking killing it. But the tour for us wasn't really great. There weren't really a lot of like death metal bands on that lineup. With all due respect to everybody else, and we were kind of like a sore thumb in a lot of ways. But I mean, we got along with everybody, so that wasn't the problem. It was just like we played really early, and a lot of our fans were like, we don't want to come and see you to play for 20 minutes, at 3:00 in the afternoon when we don't like these kind of bands.
Yeah.
And I'm sure their fans were like, why the fuck do we want to see?
How many songs is 3 minutes?
It was 20, 25, maybe up to 30, but we played like
minutes,
5-6 songs most. Yeah. So, but I mean, it is what it is. But I remember like, we were getting pretty beat.
Yeah.
Tour was really tough. The load-ins were really early, and everybody was kind of in like this like really kind of bad state of mind. But I remember we played this one venue, and it just like fucking clicked for me. I was forget where it was, but we had played, and BT Bam was obviously doing their thing. They're headlining. And I remember there was a couch on the side of the stage. It was like just off to the way offside. And I grabbed myself like a $2 margarita and just like sat on the couch and just watched their set from the side and just thinking like, dude, like fucking 16-year-old me would be like shitting his pants right now. Like, it's really not that bad. Like, tours can be rough. Then you worry about like, transportation or merch sales or head counts and all this other shit, but like when you're sitting there and you're hearing like Selkies being played like right next to you, and then you get to like high five their guitar player after they're done, it's just like fuck. So that's really what it is for me. I mean, just like the experience of it. I mean, obviously getting paid is important, and our band is is doing our thing, but like that whole experience of just meeting these guys and be like, dude, I fucking listen to your albums. Like, what the fuck? And we're eating sushi. What's happening? So, yep.
Well, we're dying in here, so I got one more question for you. So on tour, did you witness anything crazy? Like any like crazy things? Any like crazy tour stories?
Not really. I mean, the thing is, I think there's a big misconception. Like a lot of bands do party for sure, and you see like a lot of bizarre shit here and there. But I mean, most people, to get to where we get, and for any band really, like you have to work really, really hard. And like I think that there's like this mutual respect that most people know. That it goes back to the first thing I said about being a good person. So I think a lot of people, I don't know, everybody has this like cool air about them where they just kind of are there to do their job, and then when we have fun, we have fun. But I've never had like a bad experience. That wasn't really the question. But like in terms of like crazy stuff,
like crazy party shit or something. Fights.
No, not really, man. It's been really.
That sounds like
it's been really smooth, like, man.
Yeah,
it's been really smooth. Like I said, the worst thing is you just get a little tired, you get a little homesick.
Yeah.
There was one time I guess I could say that we got pulled over on, I want to say it was like the border of Germany or Austria, somewhere over there, and it's like was really late. It was like 11, maybe midnight or something, and like they basically pulled the bus over to do like a routine inspection. And they had a bunch of metal dudes just standing out there, freezing cold, just waiting for them to do their thing. And yeah, that was a very interesting night. But aside from that, yeah, everything's it's chill, man. Like the big thing that I guess I could convey to anybody who's in bands and does the band thing, it's really all the same. I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff. You're out there traveling with your guys. You kind of depend on each other. You meet other guys who are fans of your stuff. Awkward people who are awkward in real life are awkward in real life. People who are social in real life.
I'm a little in between.
So yeah, it's really like, I mean, I guess the main other like factors are just like, the shows have been great, and like you get to get a lot of cool experiences and whatnot. I got to go to the Funimation in Texas, which is like the anime like
Funimation. Don't they like Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, so they don't make it, but they're in charge of like doing all the dubs, and they do all the editing, and like they're basically responsible for bringing anime to like.
There's actually, I think they just leaked a bunch of their voices, but they're doing all the voices, but they're doing like porn scenes. And so I think that's leaked out because they were just joking and doing like joke scenes.
I don't know, man.
Check it out; it's hilarious. I was listening to it. I was like, "What the fuck?"
We got to walk through there, and I got to see like voice actors do their thing, and like
that's so cool,
dude. Like I think that's probably the craziest thing is just like the weird experiences that you just like, hey, like I'm a fan of your band. Let's go check out fucking Funimation where I work, and it's just like, what the fuck, like. Yeah, it's wild. But honestly, man, I'm just really grateful. Like it's a lot of work, but at the same time, it's like the fucking best job.
Oh man,
best fucking job in the world.
And I'm so everything. Like, once I started seeing your posts and seeing like in your pictures, like I was saying earlier, like this is what I always expected like seeing you doing, and I'm glad you're doing it. Like,
yeah, man.
Like it's so cool, and I'm grateful that you're here with me because your schedule can be like. Wild, and I appreciate you taking the time to even be here.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
We got a couple more things. I do this thing called the Rando Records, and we just go through. I just pick some records out of my stash, and if you can relate to it or if you like it, but it's more so for like for my viewers to like pick on some more new music, cool. Maybe that they may not have heard. So I just kind of pick randomly. I don't know if you're familiar. So we have Champion. Do you know Champion?
I do not.
So Champion, I think they're from Seattle.
Yeah.
They're a straight edge band. They're really good, but
I don't think their singer.
Their singer is not straight edge anymore. He has a bad rap now.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the cover it's blue. This is Time Slips Away. They're really good. They got me into kind of like more like hardcore, like traditional style.
Like youth crew kind of style.
Youth crew stuff. Hardcore. Really good. Check them out.
Wait, is this being video recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, check it out. This is Time Slips Away. They have a bad rap there. Don't play anymore. I think the last show is on YouTube. They played at El Corazon in Seattle. This is a really good album. They just... the vocalist is, I guess, a creep, so... What about this? Are you familiar with Power Trip?
Fuck yeah, I am.
Have you played with Power Trip yet?
I have.
Oh, wow.
We played a...
Have you met Riley?
I have not met them.
Okay.
We did a festival, I want to say it was Heavy Montreal. It was either... Yeah, it was Heavy Montreal.
Where haven't you been?
Dude, there's a lot of places.
I know.
There are definitely places. No, but we played Heavy Montreal, and after we finished our set... it was basically just like party time, so like it was just like I want to see all these bands. I got to like Emperor was on the bill and shit, and like
that's cool. You just kind of just get to like
and they give you these go-karts when you're like in like the artists, so you can like just fucking like
like golf carts.
Golf carts are like, well, you can't drive them for obvious reasons because party, but they'll basically cart you around to like little stages or whatever. So like I remember walking by and Power Trip was doing their thing. And I was just like, holy
they're fucking good,
shit! And they played in the middle of the day, and like it was crazy because like they just like everyone's just kind of hanging out, and then it was just like, boom, we're Power Trip. Holy shit! Everything just fucking blew up.
Oh,
and just
dun, 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 dun,
when I hear their music, it's just like a wall of sound.
It's like they're so good.
They do that. They have the fucking was it the Executioner's Tax song, right?
Yeah, yeah. So good. I just recently seen them. Me and David seen them in Sound and Fury.
Really?
But I've seen them I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 times. Really good. I saw him with Danzig and all those like old heads.
Everybody tours with Danzig.
Like,
I want to tour with
all
Danzig.
All those old heads were like, they didn't know who they were. Yeah. But by the time that Power Trip finished, like, they were like, fuck yeah. So check out Power Trip. This is opening fire. So this is like everything from 2008, 2014, like their little EPs or their demos. They put it all on one record.
That's sick. I love it when bands do that.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Black Flag. They did like the first four EPs or whatever. What about, are you familiar with Annihilation Time?
No, but that kind of reminds me of the Animosity logo from, like, what was that album called? Empire? I want to say Empire. Empire. Okay. It's got the same kind of thing going on. Anyways, cool cover.
Annihilation Time's Tales of the, what is it? Tales of the,
Dude, this is tight, dude.
What's the...
Tales of the Ancient Age.
So they're like super like rock and roll punk rock, like more like they got like a lot of like
just guzzling. Fuck yes, dude.
Check them out. They're really good. They got a lot of like just like rock and rolly sounds, but the vocals are super like punk rock. And then they do like a lot of octaves with like 2 guitars. Like it's really cool. Check them out.
I would buy this literally on just the cover. This is fucking tight.
I don't think they're a band anymore. I think I want to say they're from like Virginia or something. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but they're really
Virginia
good.
Has a lot of good bands.
Super like rock and rolly like Dave riffs and stuff.
I'm just kidding. I don't know if they're from.
And but like the punk vocals are really good. So check them out. Super good. And then I mean I picked these out at random. So yo.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Is that the actual album or is that just a single?
This is just this extended club mix. So this is a single. This is the Safety Dance. I got this actually at a yard sale, and I saw it, and I was like, I gotta get this.
What a fucking gem!
Yeah. So as and it's as the B side and everything, but Safety Dance. Remember that hats? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
If you don't know this song,
and
I know a lot of like 80s stuff because of my dad, and so that means The Cure.
Oh yeah.
Like my parents all grew up in the 80s.
Is this like a greatest hits?
I don't think so. I think this is Standing on the Beach. It's the singles actually.
Oh,
well, maybe it's like a hits actually.
Yeah.
It has like The Forest on there.
Yeah.
This is a really good one. So
Close to Me. Fuck yeah.
This is like a good batch of randoms actually. Check them out. We're going to be done with that. So if you want to plug anything, your social media, any websites, anything, your tour dates, anything specific, let everybody know about you.
Yeah, so I guess the most obvious thing, Allegaeon's going on tour in October for Apoptosis Part 2. It's going all through the U.S. We are skipping a couple spots, but we have more legs, hopefully in the near future, I should say. So check that out. I think you get tickets at metalblade.com/Allegaeon. Should have all the links there. If you can check out Peasant Hands, our last album, Mother Failure, is on the streaming services, things like Spotify and Apple Music, all that good stuff. If you're in town locally in Central Valley, California, I play with Funky Tim and the Merlots. You can check out dates there at funkytim.com. Other than that, just Google me or Brandon W. Michael.
Can they search Boo Boo Money?
They can search Boo Boo Money, and you will probably get some really weird results. But I'm just kind of doing my thing, man. Like, feel free to say hi. I do my absolute best to answer any messages or emails or anything that gets thrown my way. So yeah.
You can catch me. My Instagram name is ArtieBoySucks. ARTIEBOYSUCK.
What letter is that?
Yeah, and then David's is
IDK David Park.
IDK David Park. So
it's such an easy name to remember.
Thanks, Brandon, for joining us today in a very hot fucking room.
It's a sauna in here, by the way.
It's fucking sauna, and
I've been sweating.
I'm sure we could like talk a lot longer, but we're fucking dying.
Hey man, there's always other days, man.
The Fiji water's running out.
See the condensation on the outside? It just looks like a fucking
episode 3, YLS, Your Life Sucks. Thank you. Bye.
See you.
Thank you.